Good evening. My name is Mike Lawler, and I'm your host for this February 14th, 2019 episode of Bridging the Gap. This is a community program that focuses on a bunch of different activities that are affecting the lives of those in Bolingbrook, Illinois. And tonight we're going to focus on a topic that affects the youth in our community, and specifically young Latinos. And young ladies in the community who can get involved in programs that help them grow their confidence, their experience, and have very positive life experiences. That's the capsule of it, and then we'll get more into it. We have two representatives from the program who are involved in a number of different things. So we're going to talk about a number of their activities in life and how they got to where they are today, and then focus on the different activities that are available to the youth. So, welcome to the program. This is Jacqueline Camacho. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. My name is Jacqueline Camacho, and I have been an entrepreneur since the age of 23. Passionate about helping businesses and leaders in the community thrive through ideas and thoughts. And I published my first book in 2010, and that experience led me to publish another 11 books, which I recently just published my 12th book about aviation. And I'm also a young pilot, a pilotina as I call myself, Pilot Plus Latina, and now the founder of the Fig Factor Foundation.
Okay. So founder, and Luz Marie?
My name is Luz Marie Caro, and I am the vice president, recently the vice president of the Fig Factor Foundation. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful gift to be here, first of all, so thank you for that. And to be part of this foundation is just another dream come true. She says that this is for young Latinas, but I was shy 5 years ago. And so she, through the power of what she does throughout this organization, this foundation, also inspires the older ones. So even at 45, you can overcome, fears and things. So
That's
it's been,
great.
yeah, it's a really, really beautiful, amazing gift to be part of this foundation and see the growth. I'm sure she'll share some more, but it's an inspiring thing. She believed in me before I believed in myself, and therefore I'm here to help continue to inspire young Latinas to do the same, because it is available. It's amazing what's available. If someone believes in you and allows you to realize, to believe in yourself, everything is possible.
That's a very accurate statement, and I've been fortunate to see the impact of all ages, and I would agree, it's all ages. As soon as someone shows some belief and support in someone else, the path is much easier in life, and the possibilities are endless. So,
Endless, totally.
So we met last fall at the Mexican Independence Day celebration, El Grito. I'm going to try rolling my R's, but
You did good.
Pretty good.
and it was a fascinating experience and to put on celebration and recognition of the independence of Mexico from Spain. And so let's start the story there, because I'm enjoying all the festivities and I get introduced to you, and we're having a great conversation. So let's go from there and tell me a little bit about what we discussed and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, I mean, we had the honor of being introduced by one of the visionaries that put together this amazing event, Jesus Serna, also known as Chuy Serna in the community. And to be part of that celebration, that was the first ever celebration of its kind for El Grito specifically. So beautiful to see the community come together. So the spirits were already just, I mean, the energy was incredible. And when Chuy said, I want to introduce you to someone, I said, wow, and I think the conversation that you and I had at that moment when he made that spark, and we started discussing how passionate I was, young Latinas, and about elevating the community and helping people just be the best they can be, through my books or whatever I'm doing, locally or internationally. And I think that's when the spark started, and that conversation of how do we use the tools and the resources that we have to elevate a segment of the population that certainly can use the help.
Yeah, and I would, we've got a lot of good programs in town, and I would agree, I haven't seen anything yet. So we've got the Scout programs, we've got youth sports, we've got Honor Society, we've got a number of clubs in the schools that involve the students, but I haven't seen anything yet that really focuses on young Latino women who, youth, and as they grow into adulthood, and certainly the activities that are involved. So let's share a little bit more, because once we met and I heard your story, then I knew that we had to have a partnership in the community moving forward. So share a little bit more about your story, the one that we talked about.
Well, I mean, my journey as a cancer survivor, my journey as a visionary that loves to make an impact in the community, and I think sometimes you find a mission and sometimes a mission finds you. Mm-hmm. And when I was turning 31, I was feeling nostalgic because I'm like, wow, I'm inside my 30s now, right? Mm. And my birthday to myself in the community was to gather a group of young Latinas to come together to express and share their dreams. Little did I know that event was going to be the genesis of an entire program that has now impacted 112 girls in this very community, as well as other communities, other states, and even Mexico, where we allow the girls to unleash their amazing. How do we do that? Probably think, well, there's a lot of ways to think about unleashing your amazing, but one of the ways that we do that is by having a 2-day program that allows the girls to discover who they are in the context of sisterhood, in the context of sharing with another 11 girls. So it's a very intimate setting for 2 days where we come together. That then is followed by a 6-month mentorship program. This is where they are held by the hand of a mentor, of a Latina or non-Latina, a woman that has achieved amazing success in her life that now wants to guide them over the next 6 months. And a lot of times, we always talk about that, right? Like you start a mentorship, it's supposed to be 6 months, and you've been mentoring one of the girls from our first program.
Well, and you're right about that, because the Big Brothers, Big Sisters, there's a good friend of mine, a leader in the community who has a little brother, and I hear the stories about, it's just a short-term program. No, it's not.
It's for actually life. It feels like it's for life.
Yeah, it is.
on both ends, which is a beautiful thing. Yeah. It's not like the mentor's thinking, nope. 6 months are over. No, it's like, how are you doing? She's moved to California. She started a new life. She calls me at midnight 11. Guess what? And just rejoice in their accomplishments. It's such a beautiful gift. It totally is, yeah.
So I want to hear how both of you got to today, but we talked about some of your experiences. So you are a cancer survivor, and you got some ideas, or you heard some inspirational messages that were given to you. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I call them divine downloads. For a lot of you watching, you're probably thinking, oh, she's crazy, right? But you know what? I feel that we all have that ability to get those inspirations, and it's what we do with them. And to finish up, what I was talking about before with, the girls going to a 2-day program followed by a 6-month mentorship, those girls that graduate from our programs are exposed to amazing experiences that are designed to really get them in that frequency to get those inspirations, right? So we take them out to the community, we take them out to concerts, we take them to experiences that they would otherwise not have access to. And then the 4th step is where we connect them back to the community to give back. Okay. So they become full citizens of our world, our community. They feel like, wow, I've discovered that I'm beautiful inside and out, because they already are, and now I'm able to use my gifts and my talents to give back to the community. So I think when you mentor someone and when you live that life of significance, it's important that you follow and your actions match your words and you have integrity in what you do. And for me, when I get these divine downloads, these inspirations, I have to take action. And I think that after I survived what I survived at 21 and 23, for me, it was like a sense of urgency to serve was implanted in my heart. Okay. It's hard to describe how I feel, but I just like get these ideas and I'm like, wow, we have to do something about it. Like we have to take action. And it's been such an incredible journey. I was in 7 countries and 10 cities inspiring the, women around the world in 2018. And to have that privilege of being able to inspire other souls, other people, is just such a gift and such an honor.
So the age of 21, the age of 23, you're
45.
meandering through life, and a divine download happens.
Yes.
You've got a couple of young children, and had the honor of meeting them, and they were wonderful to hang out with. Tell us what happened at 23 and what started you on this path.
It was one of those fateful days. I went to an Indian restaurant with my brand new business to market them. And as I was leaving the restaurant, I noticed out of the corner of my eye that they had these beautiful containers. And I asked them what they were. They told me that they were spices that are used to clean your palate after a meal. So I picked the purple one because that's my favorite color. And it so happens that is the #1 spice in the world. It's the most intense spice that there is. And it was a raw spice. I would have never eaten that in my Mexican culture. This is not customary for us. Mm-hmm. But I really wanted to embrace this Indian culture. So within 10 minutes, my life changed. And it changed because I started feeling very weird, unusual symptoms. And that led me to be hospitalized for 2 weeks, 40 doctors, 2 different hospitals. And I ended up at Northwestern here in Chicago, which is the best hospital for gastrointestinal things. They found that I was born with a condition that happens in 1 out of 150,000 people in this part of the hemisphere. And out of that, I had type 2, which is 3% of the cases found.
Oh my gosh.
So imagine winning the lottery twice backwards. That's exactly how. And I think in those moments of despair when, the hardest thing for me during that time was to see the suffering of my family for what I was going through, because it was a very serious condition that it ended up being pre-cancer level 4 right by my liver. So when I woke up, the doctor said you had 3 options. Option 1, you could die over the next 2 weeks because we created a new brand new digestive system, and the bile can digest the rest of, basically get rid of the rest of the organs if it leaks. 2, we might put a tube to feed you for the rest of your life. Or 3, you might be okay if it seals properly. In fact, I probably look like an alien inside my my intestinal. But nobody knows. So I never try not to burden people with that. I just show up and give people the best thing that I have, which is my positive attitude. I think that's the best gift that you can give. And for me, at that moment, when the doctor walked away, the only thing I thought about was, doctor, I need to get up by next Thursday because I'm graduating with honors from College of DuPage. Little did people know that I showed up to my finals with a tube coming out. Nobody knew. I covered it up. I went, I focused, and I graduated with honors. About a week later, I came back and they removed the tube, and they said, you've been doing amazing. We're going to take the tube out and you can live a normal life. And for me, I think that was a moment where I really woke to this beauty, right, of like this sense of urgency. And I decided that whatever I did in life was going to be to serve other people. And I was going to be a servant leader for the rest of my life. I was going to live to serve, and I was going to serve to live. So this is why I became a pilot, because I wanted to just, anything that if I resonate with it and I feel the passion, I'm going to do it. There's nothing stopping me because I'm alive, and that's that's everything. Life is so beautiful and amazing. So
And I'm glad you have shared that story, because that's what captured my heart and made me want to learn more and want to hear more from you. And I know it's a very difficult story to tell, but I do appreciate you sharing it. And what I came away with after hearing that story with you and talking more about this was we all have challenges in life. Yours was a pretty major one. And you came away with the ability, the willingness, the desire, the passion to make a difference in so many other people's lives. So there are other activities that I want to talk through on a happier, more fun conversation. But I did want everyone to understand how your situation, what you experienced in life, turned your life into a life of service, and what you're doing to make an impact around the world. So, Luz Marie, you mentioned that you got involved, so I want to hear a little bit more about how you met this young lady here, and then we're going to come back and talk about some of the other activities. But
Yes.
you mentioned you were shy,
Yes.
and not very confident perhaps, and so what happened? Tell us that story.
Low confidence, low self-esteem, eating in high school, covering my mouth, wondering what people would say when they'd look at me. Single girl, 9 brothers, 5 older, 4 younger. Raised in Humboldt Park in the mid-'80s when Humboldt Park was bad. Lost 2 brothers, one to a gunshot in front of our house even. Gangs and drugs, and it was all out there. I managed to connect with a teacher of mine, Dr. Sobel, when I was in 6th grade, 12 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, and he said, I'd like to speak to your mother. And I thought, what did I do? I have straight E's back then, and I've been a good girl, I haven't been talking, and no problem, my mother came. Lucy, what did you do? I said, I don't know, Mama. And she didn't speak the language, so I was a translator, and he said, I'd like you to inform your mother that you are doing great. My heart just sunk, with my little eyes. He says, you're doing great, and you're doing so great that you have sophomore and junior year grades in 6th grade. And I'm thinking, what does that mean? I don't know. Yeah. So I translate to my mom, and she's looking like, okay, why are we here then? And he says, and you have the opportunity to try out to go to Lane Tech. And I'm thinking, what is Lane Tech? But the best high school in the city back then, right? And I tell my mother, and we were very, very poor, and she said, how much is it going to cost, and how is she going to get there? So he was so kind to let her know what it involved, and that it wasn't going to cost anything, and that it was a great opportunity. And I'm thinking, my mother doesn't let me do anything. I'm the only girl with 9 brothers living in Humboldt Park, and we're not supposed to become anything because we're Latinas. And I thought, what is she going to say? And she said, where do I sign? That day was the first day that I felt that I was someone. Because coming from where I came and not being able to have friends over and not being able to play outside because the area was so bad, and just coming home and helping her as a single mom, raise my younger brothers and cook and clean and just be a good girl, I thought was my job. And then later find a man that I could marry and be good and kind to him and take care of the house and the kids. That's all I thought of as that little 12-year-old girl. Well, high school was the most amazing time of my life. When I went to high school, even though it was such a large school, I mean, we had 5,000 students. It was crazy for a high school, and it looked like a castle.
I've driven by, and I know some folks from Lane Tech.
And
so.
doesn't it? It's this
It's
beautiful.
imposing.
Yes. And here's this 13-year-old little girl. I remember August 25th, 1983, looking up at this place and thinking, oh my God, now what? And I just remember being so grateful. Grateful to him for believing in me. Grateful to my mom for accepting and saying yes, even though it was scary for her, of course. And me having to take 2 buses every day to go to school and back. It was almost an hour. And walking into Humboldt Park in a bad area, but realizing that I wanted to do my best. And I got straight A's. At that point, they were A's. Freshman year and sophomore year, I excelled drafting, and it was just like a different world for me. I was able to be like the me I always longed to be. Like I belonged, I was someone, not just a little mom to my younger brothers, which I love doing.
Right.
But that's when I realized there's so much more to life, but still very shy. And wow, yeah, thanks for taking me back to that moment. I have no idea where Mr. Sobel is, and I just know in my heart that he did that for me. He did it to so many individuals, because that's what this is all about. So having that memory in my heart and knowing how I felt, thank you, we do need those. Knowing how I felt that moment, knowing that someone was there, thank you, for me. And then someone offering me, oh my gosh, at the age of 45, to meet Jackie. And I was still shy. And my friend Jim Wazak said, Luce, you have such a beautiful way. You love to serve, and you're so personable. There's this woman I want you to meet. I said, I don't want to meet anyone. I was fine. We're at Portillo's, I'll never forget. He said, no, you are playing small. He said, I know you've worked at a company for 20 years, and you've done great, and you've excelled, and you need to meet this woman.
Playing small
Yes.
is the term that he used.
You're playing small, Luce. He saw in me something bigger, brighter than I ever imagined. Perhaps I had imagined it, but I never in a million years would have thought that it would become reality. So him, again, standing up for me, right, like Mr. Sobel did, and he grabbed the phone. He said, this woman, actually, she's a lot younger than you. She's a girl. And I said, hey. And he said, you have to meet Jackie. And I remember he grabs his phone to call, very spunky, flamboyant guy. And I grab it from his hand, and he snatches it back. He dials her, and I'm shaking. At 45, I'm shaking, and my throat and my knees are buckling, and I start praying. I hope she doesn't answer. I hope she doesn't answer. I hope she doesn't answer. He's like, what is your problem? I said, I don't want to do this. Hello, Jackie. And I thought it was her. And then he starts talking, so I know it was a voicemail, and I'm like, thank God. He says, Jackie, I'm here with my dear friend Luce Marie Carr. She has to meet you. She doesn't want to. When can you fit us in? It's going to be magical. And I thought, you are so crazy, Jim. I'm going to kill you. Hangs up the phone. We laugh. He helps me come up with a mission for my business that I had just started. He says, Luce, you have so much potential. Why are you playing small? And she didn't answer. She didn't call us back while I was there. I was so like, ooh, grateful. And a day later, he says, nope, she called. She said she can see us in between 2 appointments that she has. She has 1 hour. She's going to see us at Jamba Juice. I'm like, what? What's Jamba Juice? And then I said, I can't do this, Jim. He says, you will and you can. And I was there, and I swear to you, in that 1 hour, I met this little angel. We laughed, we hugged, we cried, and she says, you're going to be in my life for the rest of my life. I said, ditto. And I haven't left her since, and it's been magical, amazing, amazing experience after experience. Co-author of today's Inspired Latina, which I was so scared on that stage, but I did it. 625 people, and just spoke from my heart because I couldn't see the letters on the paper. And international speaker. I've gone to universities, I've spoken, I've shared. My business is throbbing. I'm a holistic wellness coach and Reiki master, and I'm there for her, she's there for me, and we're here together to help touch, move, inspire, motivate young people, to let them know that it is possible. If I could do it at 45, so can you, so can you, so can you. And it's so inspiring because her love and passion for life, as you clearly saw and felt, is something that she shares each and every day with each and every person. And I always want to be around that. It's powerful, amazing, and See, I used to be shy. Now you can't shut me up.
It worked. Well, you and I had a similar experience. We talked on the side of the stage for a few minutes, but then when we got together and talked more, and talked on the phone and got together in person, and brought your children, we had, I walked away with a similar feeling in my heart that
Yes.
we have to connect people more
Yes.
and allow them, allow the young ladies to have this experience.
Yes.
So let's, now that we've bared our souls a little bit, we're
Just a little.
emotional, let's talk about the Fig Factor, because you were heading down, you put together a book, you had some other activities. How did the Fig Factor come about?
I think it was that day of my 31st birthday. I came to my husband and I said, I have an inspiration. And he said, oh no, God help us. He was like, how much is this inspiration going to cost? And what are you going to have me do? Well, you just need to put together a flyer. And since I don't need anything for this birthday, it's probably going to cost us a couple $1,000s, but this is what I want for my birthday. So this is what ended up becoming that celebration of my 31st birthday at Medieval Times, where I wanted to make the feeling of just like love for this young Latinas. I just put a little flyer on social media and I said, hey, who wants to be a princess for a day? You know? So I brought the Fig Factor book, and I also brought a Fig Factor journal as gifts for everybody on my guests. And what was interesting is that I had this other subsequent inspiration, and I said, why don't you guys share your dreams? Like, just share your dreams, right? And this is completely extemporaneous. I mean, people are just getting up from their chair and they're saying, hey, I want to be a doctor. But what I noticed is that every single one of the girls, the 31 girls that got up, said, hey, I want to be a doctor. But I can't because I don't have support, I don't have any role models, and I don't have any money. And one after the other, it was like this parade of reasons why they were not going to achieve them. And we ended up crying the whole time, like, wow, this is not how I intended to have my birthday. And but then I left, and I was like, wow. I had before we left, I had the king, and I have this very handsome knights walk the girls and put the crowns on their heads. You know, I thought about those details, and then we all signed this like amazing paper. You know, it was beautiful, but it was also very sobering and very. It was like a rude awakening of the realities in our community. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, you know what? I can literally go back to my amazing life. I mean, by that time, I already had my marketing agency for a few years, been doing great. Now it's almost 13 years that I've had. That is more than a third of my life that I've been an entrepreneur. And I've been able to create some success with my businesses. I can go back to my amazing life. I mean, I don't need anything. I'm, helping out whenever I can, whenever it's convenient. Oh, but I couldn't just do that. Something was implanted in my heart that day. And I think coupled with my new awakening of surviving and just being alive and that beautiful gift of life, I said, I got to do something about this. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of sweat and tears and, investment financially and all that. And shortly after, decided to create the Fig Factor Foundation. And I have been so blessed by women like Luz Maricaro that really have poured their heart. Countless women and local leaders and dignitaries and volunteers and parents and children. I mean, we've had 112 girls that have gone through our program. We have 112 daughters, that have been impacted by something that came out of an inspiration and a desire to make an impact. And I've hosted, I don't know how many girls at my house. We've done incredible experience. We've taken them flying on little planes. We've taken them to racetracks. We've taken them to Ravinia, to the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, to Facebook, to a virtual reality experience at Facebook, to things that they would never have access to.
And maybe, most likely, we're not aware.
Not aware,
Correct,
yes. I mean, these are
correct.
things that you cannot even buy sometimes. Mm-hmm. Who's going to invite you to a Facebook, have lunch at Facebook, virtual experiences, have a panel of incredible women? it's like surreal, you know, the fact that we can do this for these girls.
So I want to change gears just a little bit. Tell our audience a little bit about your schedule over the past few months. And we met in person, and you were heading off
I
on a
was
trip.
heading off to the horizon, to New York, to launch my 11th book at the New York Times with amazing women that were part of Today's Inspired Latina Volume 4, sold out audience, overseeing the Hudson River at the New York Times with over 20 media outlets. Beautiful, iconic event. 48 hours later, we, along with 14 authors for my book series that now it's 5 books of Today's Inspired Latina, 131 women, representing pretty much all the South American and Latin American countries. They said, I want to go with you, Jack. If you're going to go to Europe, I want to go with you. So 14 authors and I crossed the Atlantic Ocean to go to Amsterdam, to go to the only Latina conference in Europe in Spanish, which
In
is
Amsterdam.
quite interesting, in Amsterdam.
Not in Spain, in Amsterdam.
In Amsterdam. And it was the 4th year that they do that. I was invited to be a keynote speaker. When I found out that 14 amazing women were crossing the Atlantic Ocean with me, I said I was going to do a keynote presentation for about 50 minutes. And I said, you know what? Give me about 10 and allow me to give the rest of that time on stage to the authors that came with me. She's like, you're sure you want to do that? I'm like, absolutely. Are you kidding me? So we did that. We got on stage, and then I was surprised with a beautiful award of my global impact with women in Amsterdam. That was, and I was also featured on the cover of the magazine, the European magazine. A day later, we headed off to Germany. One of the authors made this happen. My dream, I speak German. I'm the weird Mexican that speaks
Okay.
German, which is very unusual.
That's an interesting twist, yes.
I was a German tutor, actually, and yeah, I really got into it. My
That
Deutsch.
could be damaging to the vocal cords and you know, trying to switch. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had a lot of people come up to me and say, "Hi, sprechen Sie Deutsch, Latina?" But I use it, you know, anytime I have an opportunity. So, my biggest dream was to go to Germany, and one of the authors found an Uber that was able to drive us 2.5 hours to go to Germany, and that dream, thanks to Karen O'Donnell, one of the book sisters, one of the authors, that dream was like checked off on my bucket list. So. A day later, we went to Paris, and we were doing a photo shoot in front of the Eiffel Tower with all the Latin American flags, which was iconic. And then we also rented a private boat for the authors from Europe and from here on the Siena River in Paris. So just beautiful experiences of magic. Prior to that, I was in Sweden, I was in Belgium, I was all over the United States, in Mexico, speaking and inspiring with my other books and motivation, doing TV, radio interviews, and coming back that October and saying, wow, it's just so real, because I remember one time when I was going up the escalator in Sweden, and I had one of those moments of doubt. I'm like, what am I doing here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a young Latina that didn't speak a word of English when I was 14, and here I am by the North Pole, by the Scandinavian countries, speaking and motivating these entrepreneurs. And I had that moment of doubt, saying like, I don't deserve to be here. Mm-hmm. This is for other people that are better than me. What am I doing here? And then as soon as I thought about it, as soon as I got this divine download, and I said, but if I'm here, it's because I deserve it. And if I take my authentic self anywhere in the world, that is the best gift that I can give the world, and I got a lot of value to give. So that was my awakening moment. Like, you know what? I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to embrace this amazing tour. I'm going to get the best of myself, because I got mojo, I got magic, I got value to give, to share and sprinkle around the world. And I think that, combined with the fact that on July 7th, I officially got my license to carry passengers from the Federal Aviation Administration with an FAA exam after a 7-hour test.
In a plane.
In a plane, yes. In a real plane. And one thing that I'll never forget is that as I was sitting across the table from the FAA examiner, he said, By the way, the fact that you're sitting in front of me, across the table from me, tells me that you are already a pilot in command, a captain. You're a captain. That gave me so much confidence. I'm like, in the next 6-7 hours, you just got to prove it to me.
Nice short, yeah, not a 10-question
No.
test.
I mean, it was 2.5 hours of, different scenarios and really getting into my subconscious mind to make sure that I was able to understand what it takes to be a pilot in command of an aircraft and to be able to navigate the airspace, which is one of the most regulated industries. And then when he felt comfortable that I knew my stuff, which was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, by the way, we proceeded to go flying for about 2.5 hours. I landed as an emergency with no engine. He would just say, quit the engine, go to idle, and I would literally have to land the plane, and I had to do that 4 times, deviate the plane, power on stalls, power off stalls, turns around a point, slow turns, slow flight, you name it. I was exhausted. I gave it my all. I've been working so hard and flying solo with my teddy bear for 2.5 years and just doing this, dreaming of the day that I was going to be able to take my husband to lunch on a plane.
And that's a very popular activity. We've got Clow Airport here in town,
Yes.
and one of the very active and popular activities is having pilots fly in for lunch, fly in for breakfast, and they'll just do that on the weekend and do it during the week, and so.
You probably see me soaring the skies. But you know what? One final thing that I'm going to say, that after all this, he said, Jackie, when we landed, he's like, you're officially pilot in command. You can carry passengers starting now. You're safe, a safe pilot. And the next day, I rented the plane. I took my husband. We had already eaten breakfast. It was in lunch, which is what I kind of came in my divine download to get my license. It was dessert. So we flew out to a restaurant, and when we got there, the server said, wow, where'd you guys come from? We said, well, we came from Aurora. We flew in. That's what my husband said. And he's like, oh, you must be a great pilot. And I'm sitting just like that. I'm like, my husband said, well, actually, she's a pilot. Wow! That moment was for the record. And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you push yourself, you believe in yourself. And I had so many opportunities to quit. Over 80% of the people that start training never finish or just give up because they had a scare on the air, they had something happen to them, or they ran out of money or time or whatever.
Money is a factor.
It is a little bit of factor, but you do it as much as you can. But
my experience, I've got a pretty extreme fear of heights, and I think I shared this with you. Some of the folks at Clow were kind and gracious and insistent enough to take me up on a plane. It's a model called the Breezy, and it has no skin on it, and I got that out of the way, but luckily I didn't fall out, or didn't fall off the seat, the small seat that I was on. But to be able to, so the common stories that we're hearing, and I want to come back and talk about how you guys met a little bit more, and then we want to get into the program, which you described at a high level at the beginning. To be able to come up with the idea, to hear the divine download, to be inspired by someone, given permission to dream, is, I think, what I'm hearing and what I think is important for others to hear.
Yes.
And so let's go a little bit. When did this phone call that happened at Portillo's, how long ago was this phone call?
Ah, that's funny and sweet. It was October 9th. What year? 2013?
2013?
13.
Wow.
2013.
13.
Okay.
So it just made 5 years, and it's very, very.
Actually 6, almost, yeah.
Yeah, 5.
Can be almost 6.
Yeah, almost 6. It feels like yesterday, to be honest with you, and I'm grateful to Jim all the time. and he reminds me, I told you you had to meet her.
So he's reminding that he did you a great favor.
Yeah.
And,
Well, not just that. He just says, I told you that there was more potential within
More
you than
important.
you thought. Isn't that just so?
He's reminding you not to forget your potential.
Yes, yes.
And
And
the
now
fact-
he sees what we do and where we're going and who we're touching and moving and inspiring. And he's like, he doesn't ever say, hey, that's thanks to me. He's very, very sweet and kind. He just knew. He felt something inside. And I think that happens a lot with individuals that are presented to Jackie. You just have to meet this woman. And maybe they're not. They're easier going than me about it, but they don't resist it. But very grateful at the end because she has so much to share, so much love and joy. And it's just wonderful to be able to connect with that and then share that with others.
So let's, what have you been doing in the 5 years that since you met? Let's hear a little bit about some of the experience. You did describe the medieval times experience and going to Facebook. And so walk us through a young lady who is interested in finding more out about this. Maybe she hears about it. And so how do they hear about it? And then what happens from there?
Wow. I'll share a story that happened just recently. My neighbor said, hey, Jackie, I think you have a Young Latina program. I have this bright young Latina at Batavia High School that I wanted to introduce you to. How much is it? I want to pay for her. I want to make sure that she has an opportunity. And he said, there's no cost. I mean, you can donate to us. We're always accepting donations, but there's no, are you sure there's no? I'm like, no, it's totally free for the girls. You don't have to pay anything. He was shocked about that. I was like, wow, that's amazing. So then connects me to this girl. She signs up for a 2-day program. She gets a mentor and all that. And then we started inviting her to these amazing experiences and giving back to the community and just connecting her to the magic and connecting her to other graduates. She sent me a message at 1:58 in the morning, 1:58 a.m., saying, Jackie, I cannot stop seeing the magic. I see the magic everywhere. The amazing is everywhere. I can't sleep. Divine downloads are flowing. Wow. This young lady plays 5 instruments. She sings. She's now teaching my daughter how to play the piano. And she has been involved in many, many different events. And she was one of the inspirations for creating our very first Young Latina conference, which was by them, for them. We just supported them. We rented the space, and they were the speakers. That is now launching them in a whole nother path and opportunity. So that is one out of 112 opportunities. You were mentioning about Berenice Diaz, who moved to Hollywood, got a scholarship in Hollywood to become a comedian, graduated, and now she has...
And I'd like to share a little bit
Please.
about that, if I may,
Yeah.
because she's Mexican, a little shorter, a little thicker. She was made fun of during high school. You want to be a comedian? You want to be an actress? You're short, you're fat, you're Mexican. She turned those words into her comedic relief. So she'll call me, she'll tell me, guess what? All those things that they said to me, this is what I do, Luz. It just fills my heart with so much happiness and joy because she didn't allow any of that to stop her. She auditioned, she got the scholarship, a full ride. She moved there by herself. So she says, thank you to Jackie, the foundation, and you, Luz. I am where I am. I said, you're kidding me? She says, you're a wonderful mentor. I said, you teach me every day how to let go of fear. Look at what you've done. And she stayed. She graduated and she stayed. Her family's still over here, and she's like, I love it here. It's going great, and things are happening. And she lost weight. I mean, she's turned her life a complete 180. So it's been almost 5 years, and it'll continue because she's like a daughter to me now. And we're always there for them. So it's just such a beautiful gift.
And so how did you find her? How did she find you?
Social media.
So there's a lot of different ways, right? So like her neighbor would say that, or a friend of a friend will reach out to me or lead them to us, give us a phone number. They go on the website, thefigfactor.org. There's applications on there. They have to fill out a 500-word essay, have 2 references, and we've never turned anyone away, obviously, but there's their protocol, I guess you would call it, for them to go through and process. But word of mouth, social media, when they graduate, they tell their cousins and their aunts and their friends, and then we get more. So we have another group coming from Mexico. I mean, it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Some of these girls have never flown.
Oh.
So, I mean, imagine, and we do those in Spanish because the majority of us are bilingual. But there's just so much that is offered to them. And to see their transformation. I mean, the core is the 2-day core, and then we have a core express, which is up to 4 hours. If they can't come to us, we go to their schools. Junior high, we lowered the age from 15 to 25. Now it's 12 to 25.
Okay.
Because when those 15-year-olds were coming and we were hearing the stories that they were going through, the hardships, the bullying, the hurt, the sadness, we thought if we lower that 3 years, we can connect with them prior to that happening.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's just been, it's a growth in progress, obviously. Young Latina Day was in 1 city 2 years ago, and last year it was in 3 cities. And this year, I know we'll talk about it in a little bit, but it's so exciting. 7 cities. I mean, so every year continues to grow, and it's like this beautiful, she does this activity with a heart in the center, and then you do your energy vibration and how many others is going to touch. And the next girl comes and she does the same thing. That's what this is all about, not just at the core, you know, in the core, at the core inside of us is what I feel this is. So yeah, I went to INSA not too long ago, and boys want us to do it for boys, and other girls, is it just Latina? We're like, no. So it's growing. It's just a beautiful, free connection for these individuals to know that everything is possible.
So let's go back to the beginning of the program, and then I want to evolve into the start of the day experience and what it's evolved into. But you got together. What was the first group that you got together, or how many young ladies did you?
Before we were officially a nonprofit organization, that was the celebration of my birthday, you
Right.
know, for 31, almost 5 years ago. And then September of that year, September 2014, we officially became a nonprofit, a 501c3 in the state of Illinois, federally as well. And we basically then started accepting. So Berenice, that moved to Hollywood, she was part of that program.
Okay.
Another young girl too that moved to Texas now, she's 18. She started a magazine.
At the age of
And-
18, she started a magazine. Okay.
And she's, yeah, it's, in fact, I'm flying to Texas next week to be featured on the cover of her magazine. So I'm flying to do a photo shoot
Okay.
for her magazine too. It's unbelievable. And a couple of the girls that just graduated are going to be interns for her magazine.
Well, and
So
you're
it's
right.
like
You're
that.
giving them experiences that came about because you gave someone a very positive experience.
So I think sometimes, you know what? Sometimes these girls, what they need is to say, to hear from somebody that loves them and appreciates them, or somebody that is respectable, to say, I believe in you. Those 3 words, I believe in you. In you, actually, 4 words. Let me do the
Who's
math.
counting?
Wow, a pilotina that doesn't know how to count.
We won't tell the FAA
wait.
about that.
Forgive me, please.
You know, and on that note, Jackie, I wasn't present when you guys went to Facebook, but that's where the youth conference that she mentioned came to be. And that girl at CD from Texas flew in to speak. And just seeing how poised, we even had 12-year-olds that graduated at the last core come up on stage. And they were surprised because we didn't tell them they were coming up. And they're standing in front, it was every seat was taken, 50 plus seats were taken. This 12-year-old, 3 of them, standing in front and saying, I used to be shy and afraid of public speaking. They're 12. I thought of
It's amazing.
Mr. Sobel and that, you know, and that's what this is all about. But that 18-year-old, and the other one is 18, and the other one's 16, doing amazing things. And they're doing it.
And you know what? This is a real connection because I even took one of the young Latinas with me to the second European tour.
Okay.
Her dream was to go to Paris. Check. She's 14 years old. Her parents said, can you please take her? would you, like, absolutely. Then I took 2 young Latinas, including the young Latina that really was inspiration for the foundation. And, you know, she was chosen out of the people that shared their dream. She was chosen as the one that was the most inspiring.
Okay.
So before I started the foundation, I made her quinceañera happen at medieval times as a princess.
That's a pretty good quinceanera.
It
That's a
was
big deal.
out of this world, and I was about to have a surgery, and I don't even know how we did this, but Beatriz Cantu, who has a quinceañera magazine, and she said, let's do this quinceañera for her. And I said, but how? I'm having a surgery. I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. And
So-
we made it happen.
I've been to a few, but if you would, for the TV audience and those at home, please explain the quinceanera.
Quinceañera is the coming of a woman in the Latina culture. This is the celebration that says you are now a woman. And there's a very, very important celebration in our culture. And it's like a wedding. It's a huge celebration that just really presents you to the community as a woman, and it's just so beautiful, and it's very important to a lot of our girls. And this young Latina was already 16 years old, and her parents couldn't afford it, and they were going through a very difficult situation. So we said, you know what? Let's make this happen. She became the face of quinceañera marketing for medieval times. She got a scholarship from Dale Carnegie when they heard that I was doing this. She was featured in a TV documentary, all because she opened up and shared her dream, and people voted for her as the most inspiring person. Nancy Carrillo has been really, and she's such a beautiful example. She's in pre-med at Judson University. She was going to become a pediatrician. So
Just
very
by
soon.
sharing her dreams.
That
Yes.
vulnerability, I think, is such a powerful gift, and this is a safe space for them to be able to open up and know that no one is here to judge them. We're here to help, support, and encourage, and that's where it comes from. I just,
Yeah,
It's
and
magic.
It is, with the rainbows and the unicorns.
Yes.
And this is the point that I wanted to get across. There are so many opportunities to not give opportunity for children and to crush their dreams and to not support them. And what you've done is turn that 180 degrees and made them help them understand. It's important to focus on to express your dreams, to think about it. Years ago, I was, my employer at the time, there was a program for speakers to come in on Take Your Child to Work Day and to come in and speak about opportunities. And we were talking to 4th and 5th graders, and this is in the city. And the organizer of the event said, we're reaching them too late in the 4th and 5th grade. They need to be made aware of the potential that their lives could be even earlier. And so that stuck with me, that from as soon as you can have a conversation with a child, you need to encourage them and need to let them know that opportunities do exist and not be afraid to seek them. So that's why
That's
I wanted
beautiful.
you to share.
That's beautiful.
And you know what? What's interesting too is that, like, when you take action and when you say what you do and do what you say and live a life of integrity, as if you were living in a glass house, and there's no, it's just pure and authentic and genuine behind the scenes and front. Yesterday I had an opportunity to visit my daughter's 3rd grade class and delivered 78 of my new children's aviation book. And it reminded me of my 5th book, which I delivered to my son's 3rd grade class 4 years ago. And I donated 137 of that, Crusaders, which was a kind of a comic book, motivational book. And how years later, my daughter happens to be in 3rd grade, and this is my 2nd children's book, and now I deliver that for them. Sometimes our actions speak so much louder than our words. And everything you do, if you're thinking, it doesn't matter what I do, every action matters.
Someone's always watching, and especially
Yes.
children. So.
Yes.
Wow.
Let's talk about the Young Latina Day. We've got a few more minutes left in the program. So it started out as one town.
One city, yeah.
One city. And 7 this year?
Yes.
So what date are we talking about? And then let's talk about the experience, and we should be able to finish our conversation with that.
It's April 11th, Thursday. It'll be the 3rd year, and in 7 cities. And it's going to be amazing. We're going to have every hour Facebook Live in each city with 20 to 30 individuals at each location, with a grand finale celebration in Berwyn, where everyone is allowed to come. And she's the mastermind, so maybe you can share better. I'm just excited to be present and facilitate one of the cities and be there. But
You know what? This is all of us. This is all of us contributing and bringing the best of our connections and love and creativity and innovation. Last year, when we were in 3 cities, we rented a big bus, a school bus, and we called it the Inspiration Bus. And we filled it up with Young Latinas, board members, volunteers, mentors, and we went from city to city proclaiming Young Latina Day. And now, because we have 7 cities, we're going to do simultaneous events where every board member and community leader is in charge of one city to then have the big finale, like Luz Marie said. And it's
So with
pretty
7
big.
cities, how many from each city are going to participate?
about 20 to 30 people in each city, and then about 200 to 300 people at the grand finale in Berwyn.
So they all come together, and then 200 people are there waiting for them
yes.
at the finale.
And, you
And what
failed
time
to-
does it start? I think it's early in the day.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, and then we
4.
have a little window to 4 o'clock.
Excellent.
And we're also speaking with the governor to proclaim Young Latina Day in the state of Illinois. And so that's coming up. We don't know this exact date for that, but we certainly make the trip down to Springfield to make that happen.
I think he's getting settled in and should have some
Yeah.
time.
We are giving him a little bit of time too.
I would think that you're going to make that happen, though. That the both of you, you're going to be able to accomplish that.
We are, you know what? When we put
it
our minds and
happens.
hearts to something, we declare, we put it on our journals, right? It's with gratitude, and magic happens.
Just like that bus. It was a divine download at a board meeting. And the others were like, a bus, Jackie? She's like, yes, a bus. We can have a bus filled and a banner. And sure
It's inspiration.
as the air is available, there it was. And that picture, just, that picture that we took in front with all the little faces peeking out of the windows, it takes me back to that board meeting when some of us thought, what? And some of us thought, yes. And she drew it out, and she makes it happen because we have trust in God and the universe that this comes from a beautiful planting of a seed, and then it sprouts and that beautiful flower comes out. Yeah.
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed every time we've gotten together, every time we've talked. I walk away even more inspired.
No.
But to have both of you here and sharing your story, how you got connected, how your life has been impacted, is even more inspirational. And I appreciate the fact that you took the time to come and share this with our community. And I know that we're going to connect again, and we're going to have you visit with our schools. We're going to make that arrangement, and then April 11th we're going to have a great time.
Yes, we are.
I would like to thank both of you for being here, for what you do each and every day to inspire everyone that you come in contact with. And I would like to thank Bolingbrook Community Television for supporting us in putting this message out to our community. And this has been Bridging the Gap. Thank you for watching.